Welcome to Golden Isles TV. I'm your host, Avery Brooks, and we are so excited to be with Regina McDuffie, City Manager for the City of Brunswick. Welcome.
Hi, how are you today?
Doing well, thank you.
Just great to be able to talk about how beautiful it is here in the spring. The weather's at the changing right now, so
Yes. When this show airs, it'll be March. So, isn't is it March 21st, the first day of spring?
around that time. And I think daylight savings actually is this weekend coming up.
Oh my goodness, yes. So that'll be great for staying out later and walking around downtown and having dinner. So, tell us about what's going on this spring.
Oh, wow. The spring is always just exciting just because it's a refreshing of the year. But, we start our budget process right at the beginning of March. So that's always, a lot of meetings, a lot of planning, a lot of conversations about, what we're going to try and get done for next year, along with, working and trying to get some things through this year. But we have a planning retreat coming up on Friday at the college. The commission, the city commission, and the city staff will be working from 8 in the morning till about 4 in the afternoon, just talking about planning, comprehensive plan, projects that we're working on, and a lot of things that we have in the works right now. So that's one of the things that we're working on diligently, is to get that planning retreat done, and then going to our budget year. So yeah.
Yes. So wrapping up things in January and February, and then I think you had a meeting in the state or at the Capitol.
We
Um,
did.
mhm.
We did. We had, I had two meetings in Atlanta. I'm a member of the Georgia Municipal Association, which, the association that kind of rallies all of Georgia's 530 some odd cities, where the leadership of the cities, the mayors, the commissioners, the city management, we go up to the Capitol, or are invited up to join GMA, because they have a legislative policy group that work with the legislatures in just looking at and making sure that the bills that are passed and the laws that are changed, kind of knowing how they will impact cities, whether they'll be something good for us, whether they'll kind of be something not so good for us, and advocating for us. GMA does a great job of watching all of what goes on in the legislature and advocating for the city. And this year, I've had the opportunity to be on their legislative policy committee and on the GMA board. So I've been very closely involved with all that they're doing right now. We have weekly meetings, and they keep us updated on bills that are being introduced and what goes through the legislature on the Senate side and on the House side. So it's a really very busy period. So I spent a couple of days in Atlanta with GMA, and then last week the chamber sponsored a trip for local leadership in the community, and basically had the city, the county, the chamber, the development authority, and then the Leadership Glen group that was there. So we had over 40 participants that were there at the Capitol, just kind of, um, talking with the legislatures. We had a really good day. We met with the Department of Transportation Commissioner, Mr. McMurray. We met with DCA and their Deputy Commissioner, Rusty Haygood. And then we had a session where there were numerous senators and state representative. The House Majority Leader came in, the Minority Leader came in, um, and spoke to the group and gave us updates and information. And then we had a big reception at the end of the day where the governor came in and one of the former governors was there as well. So just a lot of activity, a lot of connectivity for Glenn County and the city of Brunswick in Atlanta, just to say we are, a part of the state. We want to be heard. We want our issues to be addressed and that kind of thing.
Yes, that's very exciting. Sounds like there was a lot going on and a lot that was accomplished. I know last show, I think we talked a little bit about how things at the state level, things that are happening at the Capitol, the bills, et cetera, you want to make sure that those bills that are being passed don't negatively affect us here on the coast. We're a coastal city, which is different than a middle Georgia city, which is different than the big city in Atlanta. So, yes, I know there was some concern about that. And did you find out more about that and different things that are?
Yeah, that's always, a challenge because sometimes, bills are introduced by people around the state, and sometimes they have special interests to their areas, and they will pass something legislatively that impacts their area in the way that they want it, but it may impact other areas adversely. It may not be even applicable to our area, but we kind of get lumped in because if it's a statewide bill, then we have to adhere or abide by it. So those type things we often look at and make sure that they are not something that's going to impact our government in a negative way, or something that we'll have to adhere to or pay for. Sometimes they pass something and say, hey, you must implement this, but they don't provide money to implement it. So, those are the type things that we look for to say, if we are going to have to do this, then provide us some money to try and get it done. So it's a lot of back and forth. It's a lot of different things that happen on the state level. But as I said, we have people locally who are watching, who are advocating for us. We have people who, in GMA who are advocating for us. So a lot of activity, but a lot of communication in regards to the needs of the city and the county are in that process.
Right. Excellent. Yeah. Good to know that we've got representation, you and others who are looking out for us here on the coast. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in addition to that, I said that we were working or starting our budget process. We are also ending our audit process. Our audit was, usually we try and get it done by the end of December, but this year we had to get an extension because of all the federal money that we've been using, the ARPA money, the CARES Act money, those type things. It caused some, some not issues, but just trying to make sure we were accounting for all of that correctly. We have to do a single audit review, which is a separate review than the normal audit. So because of that, we got an extension. So that was one of the things, I've been working on as well, as trying to finalize the audit and make sure that everything, is properly submitted to the state. We don't have any findings or any issues with, how things were done. It's just that it was a lot more that was done, and it was not, normally during our normal process.
Right. Right. It's a lot of extra stuff, a lot more than normal. Nice. Well, what other events are there? Events coming up this spring in downtown Brunswick?
Well, I know we have not next week, but the following week, there's a really fun event that it's not, the city's not doing it, but we have what they call the Funky Fest. That's going to be downtown. And I am so excited about that because, I want to attend. I want to have fun. I want to see, what it's all about. And I'm hoping that it'll be a really great occasion for downtown Brunswick. We've been really good, had some great success with the Stubilee. I think we talked about that last month, and just all the things that have been happening. We had a barbecue event, and I actually did the bridge walk, which was a tremendous event for Southeast Georgia Health Systems. It was so many people there. I can't imagine. I think it probably was 8,000 people there. I mean, number of people that walked and ran and, did the bridge run. I just challenged myself to do it. So it was pretty good. I mean, I've done
Great.
5K walks before, but
Mhm.
the bridge is actually, quite challenging. They said it's the most challenging 5K run in the state. So
Oh my goodness.
really
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, I wonder if people came from all over the state, you
I'm
know?
sure they did. They had invited first responders, so there were a lot of different fire departments and EMS and departments there. So there was a lot. I mean, it was a number of people. It was incredibly well attended. I think. A little bit cool, but I think the cool air probably saved me because I think if I had gotten really hot up on that bridge, I don't know if I would have made it.
Yeah, yeah.
It was pretty grueling.
Right. No, I'm sure. Gosh, getting up there and then all the way back down, my goodness. Yeah, so
Yeah, I
thankfully.
have to give a real shout out to the mayor. He actually did what they called the double pump or something like that, where you do the 5K. It's a 10K, and you run it twice.
Oh,
So that was incredible.
wow.
Also, a shout out to the assistant city manager Jeremiah Berquist, who he did the run. He did the 5K run, which was really good because he said he had not trained for it, but he was able to um, stay the course and get it done. So we had a lot of city participation, and it was really fun.
Gosh, that sounds very fun, super exciting. I love the local participants. It's great to see everybody out there locally from the city. So nice.
Yeah, so we're still working on, of course, Georgia Cities Week, which comes up in April.
Okay.
And then we have the Wellness Walk, which is coming up also in May, I believe.
Okay.
And that, those are two city events that we're looking forward to. We also will be doing the State of the City, State of the County address. I think that'll come up early in April as well. Um, on another note, we talked about, I think, the homeless issue that we're trying to address, and we will be taking a number of people, including myself and some of the council members, some of the county commissioners. We're going to be visiting the city of Savannah in March and going up to find out more about their housing programs and, how they have done redevelopment for housing. And of course, this is only one component of addressing the homeless problem, is trying to provide affordable, trying to provide, accessibility to housing and that kind of thing. In addition, we are also, we've been having several meetings, looking at what can be done about the well downtown. There are other entities, the Hand in Hand Tiny Homes project is maybe coming online soon. The Veterans Project, there's, movement there. They are constructing homes in that area. So all of these, are components of trying to address homelessness and the housing issue in our community. So there's a lot of work being done behind the scenes. There's a lot of work being done, where it's visible. But we just want the community to know that we are paying attention. This is a problem that we want to resolve. We want to make it better for our citizens, not only the ones who are residential, but visitors, but also the people who are homeless and, in those situations. We want to give them opportunity and alternatives to being living on the streets.
Right. Was this a big conversation at the Capitol or at the state level on your visit, or is it really homelessness is handled really more within each city or each county?
That's a really good question. It was talked about on a state level, and basically just sharing information and sharing ideas, and people were talking about what situations they had encountered. So it always is helpful to learn and gather information from our neighbors, and kind of determine how that impacts here. But it is one that each city and county has to address in its own way. So we don't have, there's no one size fit all solution for it. And as a matter of fact, there's no solution in its totality for it, because even the communities that have provided resource, that have built, shelters, that have provided, things to help, they still have not really eliminated or fully eliminated the problem.
Right, right. Yeah, a lot of things have been helpful. People are making steps, making progress, but you're right. It hasn't been solved fully or completely for sure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so again, we are, and it's among the things that we have to do. But as a city government, there's so much more. We're still working to get our transit system in place, which we think again will help the homeless population have access to jobs and that kind of thing. We're working with the county to do the transition for our recreation department. We're hiring staff to start, working to transition the recreation back to the city. So
Mhm.
that's exciting for us as well. Just trying to, bring that back and have a really good program for the citizens of the city going forward.
Yes, yes, that'll be very exciting. Is that happening more spring, summer, or as far as, yeah?
Well, the date for it is basically September 1st.
Okay.
We're going to try and, transition everything, but we um, hope to have the operations and things where they are pretty much seamless in moving things back from the city that or back from the county, so that we can have participation from city residents in the sports and athletics that we come up with.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I think I saw somewhere there's a meeting, the BATS, BATS, maybe a meeting about the transportation coming up soon.
Yeah, the BATS group, they meet on transportation, and they may basically look at statewide, well, not statewide, but state projects and, really large major projects that
Mm.
we're doing, such as the resurfacing of Highway 17 and the construction that you see up at the spur near I think, near the Target um, intersection. There's, that going on, as well as other major projects that we have with transportation. I know a lot of them are, projects that we have on the islands and that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Hmm. Right. Well, it sounds like everything's moving forward. All the projects, including transportation. So that's good to hear.
They are. There's a lot being done. There's a lot getting done in the city. We're anticipating our new splosh to come up in April. They'll start collecting, so there'll be a penny additional tax starting in April for in the community, but our taxes still won't be but at 7%, which is not high. I think around the state it's mostly 8 and 9%.
Um,
So we'll be starting to collect taxes, but I'm glad to say we have just about finished all of the expenditures for the previous SPLOST. So we are, out of money at this point. So we're anticipating, and need the money to keep capital improvements going.
right. Right. And you've made such progress. It's time to keep it going. You definitely don't want to stop now. You've gotten started. So
Yeah, you'll see
yeah.
some major drainage projects around the city. You'll see some major road projects coming up
Mhm.
because we're really ready. We almost are ahead of the game in terms of design and, bidding out projects. We're kind of just waiting for the money right now so that we can move things forward. So once we start collecting, we'll start planning for how we'll move forward with the projects that we already have set in place.
Nice. Well, anything else for spring or for March that you can think of?
Well, I wanted to mention the city also, as I mentioned before, we are heavily involved with GMA. The city has been chosen to do a pilot program on workforce development for municipal government. So we will be working with GMA and the University of Georgia to study, our recruitment processes, our retention levels, things that we can do differently in order to bring people into the fold. When you think about fire and police, if you think 30 years ago, those were jobs that people sought after, pretty heavily because of, wanting to have longevity, wanting to have stability, wanting to have, a really good job. But now those jobs are not on the top of the list. They are very, intense because of police. Firefighting is one of the most dangerous fields, you can get into, and people are no longer responding to, these as really heavily sought after jobs. So, and even, other city jobs. So we're trying to reinvigorate, our workforce by learning more about how we can better recruit, bring people in, keep people in our environment, make them feel comfortable, and do more to engage the younger generation in terms of working for a local government. It is a service to the citizens, so it's not always the highest paying jobs. But we do, have a great impact on our community, and people who are civic minded and want to help and want to be engaged, those are the people who I think get involved with local government.
Right. No, so many opportunities in so many different areas. So we encourage everybody to check it out, www.brunswickga.org, and lots of opportunities. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I know that there's going to be a job fair at the airport on March 4th. So they'll be, they'll have some aviation jobs and other jobs. I wish that, anyone who wants to work, I hope that they can gain employment, because that's going to help, everybody. Our local economy can only be strengthened by, people who are out of work right now being back to work and getting to work. So I hope that job fair will be very successful, and there'll be a lot of people who, are not employed right now, possibly gaining employment.
Right. Exactly. Well, hopefully that goes well and people can at least see what the options are, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
So those are the things that are going on right now. I mean, it's a lot, and it's just constantly changing, constantly, more and more as we go along. So we're hopeful just to keep things moving, keep, people interested in investing in our community. We want to make sure that, our community is safe, and we provide a good environment, not just downtown, but everywhere in the city of Brunswick. So, the housing, the blights, that has a lot to do with it. So that's one of the key, things that we're working on, and wanting to improve the standard of living for our citizens, and also to provide housing for people, who are moving into the community.
Right, exactly. Housing is such a big issue, like you said, people moving in, people that want to come work for the city, and the housing for them, but also homelessness at the same time. So
Right.
it's a big issue for sure.
It is.
Lots of different areas.
Yeah, a lot of different components. We are
Mhm.
working from the standpoint of looking at chronic homelessness. We're looking at, people who are transitional, who are, temporarily out of their homes, and we're trying to help them get back into their homes. Of course, there's also, a mental health issue that has to be addressed, because some of it, relates to mental health of the individuals. And then we have, regulations and enforcement that we've been working on, and trying to ensure that, we are properly handling people who are on the streets. Not only that, but we want to also, we want to provide resources for the people who need them. But, we don't want people flocking into the community for that purpose. So we're, heavily looking at how we can make sure that, even though we are providing additional resources, that they are not attracting more homeless people to come into the community. So we want to have, a process where people who come here, if they are from somewhere else or they need to go back to somewhere else, that we also make that happen as well. So.
Right. Yeah. Kind of a fine line between how much help do you give and the right
Right.
type of help. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very complex. I mean, it's one of the most complicated issues that any, government or city can address. So it's one of those things that, you just want to make sure you're doing as much as possible to help the situation, to try and, I guess integrate it into, society here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're doing the right thing and meeting with other local officials, county and city working together. So sounds like definitely it's underway and will continue to progress. So in a good way.
Yeah, well, we're again, excited about spring, just having the opportunity for the, daylight savings. I'm excited about that because now when I get off work, it's not, going to be dark within an hour. It'll have some time where, I can get out and maybe walk my dogs or and things like that. So I'm excited to just be able to enjoy outdoors.
Absolutely. Yes. Have a wonderful spring. And we try to show some pictures around town, maybe some of the squares. The azaleas are starting to bloom. So it's a beautiful time here in the Golden Isles and in the city of Brunswick. And we thank you so much for your time today.
Well, thank you. I always appreciate the opportunity. I hope the community, it engages them and informs them of what we're doing. And, we're always available to answer questions and also to help. We have, different resources to make sure we help the businesses and the citizens in their daily lives. So we're very much excited about that and wanting to always, be a resource for our citizens.
Absolutely. Excellent resource right downtown. Yes. So we'll put the website again at the bottom of the screen.
Please.
So people can contact. And this show airs on TV on Channel 98 and on 1097, as well as YouTube. And I think the city puts it on the city website, maybe a link there as well. So yes, check it out. Thank you so much. This is a great update, and we look forward to the next one.
Well, thank you. You have a great spring, and we'll be seeing you soon. I hope I see you out for some of the events. First Friday's coming up, and of course, the Funky Fest.
Yes. Can we talk about that really quick? I know I meant to touch on that, but what exactly is the Funky Fest? Because I know you had we had Porch Fest. We had Food Frenzy. But tell me about Funky
Well,
Fest.
I guess it's going to be hosted at Zeno Furniture down on Newcastle Street, just across the street from the old City Hall, and it's going to be a daytime event on March 11th. I'm just excited because I love some of the old music people, such as Prince. That I'm a big Prince fan, big Michael Jackson fan, big Rick James fan. And those are all some of the, artists that were kind of introduced to the funky type music scene. So I'm excited about that.
Okay.
I hope to, just engage. They're going to have food trucks and music and just a really, really fun time. So
sounds great. All right. Well, thank you for letting us know about that. And yes. Sounds great. Well, we look forward to next time, and we appreciate your time today.
All right. Well, you have a great afternoon, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Stay tuned for more Golden Isles TV. Thanks for watching.